Do you see these weapons in your inventory? Congratulations! You are a proud owner of a few dozen cursed weapons. It's true, we have acquired one or two cursed blades over the past few years in the game. It's not even a theory, it's just straight facts. It's not even buried deep in the lore. Sorry, new players, you don't know this. Festering Desire, from the very first Albedo quest, was called a cursed blade because it corrupts the user. Except for us, because plot am I right? No, but it has to do more with us having cleansing powers and stuff. But most recently, through Kazuha's story quest, we got a weapon called Kagetsurube Ishin. If you had the great idea of looking at the weapon name while doing the quest, or you look at Genshin Twitter for some reason, it was literally called the Cursed Blade. But that is not where the list ends. Oh no. Each 4-star or 5-star weapon you have on your character to flex on others may also be haunted by a dead person's soul. Or maybe who knows, could also be blessed. But curse sounds more fun, doesn't it? Every time you give one of your characters a fancy new weapon, have you ever wondered why there is a passive or an extended description? Maybe it gives more damage, or maybe it boosts energy recharge, or maybe it's something absolutely useless. But why? It's just a piece of metal and maybe with wood. Then what if I say these passives are made precisely because someone's soul is trapped in them? All the weapons in Genshin has a description, and each one tells a story of its original user. For example, Verdescent Hunt tells the story of Verdescent Venera from her life's beginning to her alleged death. Some even have quotes from original users. Or in Festering Desire's case, Durin's final words to Gold. Let me read them to you. Thank you, Mother. Thank you. You gave me wings to soar and a mighty form. Mother, I wish to go to a land of lovely song. I will tell them about you, Mother, and about everyone else. I shall tell them that the place where I was born is beautiful. The strangest thing here is, this is coming from what is supposed to be a cursed dragon. Now take a look at the free weapon you get from fishing. The catch. It was the weapon of Akodomeki, now a dead Oni pirate from Inazuma. And take a look at its description. It's not even the life story of Akodomeki. It straight up has his dying words. We'll meet again where all ship routes end. And when we do, it'll be my turn to tell you all about these distant lands. Now that he is dead, he's looking forward to meeting with his other deceased friends. Not only them, if you read the descriptions of the character-specific weapons like Engulfing Lightning has the last words of Kitsune Saigo, Death March, final words of the Gladiator, Iron Sting, the latter part of Parzival's life, Memory of Dust, Guizhang's final request to Zhongli, and Polar Star, about a few hundred Fatui soldiers whose final memory was just a speech. I can go on and on, but you get my point. Majority of these weapons contain a fragment of their original user's memory, or a memory of the beast it was made from, like in the case of Durin. Most of them had a personal connection with their weapon, so they probably didn't let go of their weapon until they kicked the bucket. That's why half the weapon descriptions are depressing as hell to read. It's also why the passives on these weapons match their user. These are just weapons made by some random blacksmith. They are valuable because they were used by a noteworthy person. Black Sword heals when you normal attack. The Bloodstained Knight who used this blade was crazy in the name of justice. It said even he didn't know whose blood was on his weapons and artifacts. He bled and healed, and bled again, and the cycle repeats. He was numb to the pain because he didn't die. But there are cases like the Verdescent Venera, where she switched the weapon before leaving the forest to get revenge. Her parting memories are fragmented into 2 parts, and each memory is stored in Verdescent Hunt when Verdescent Venera's humanity died to seek revenge, and Hunter's part when she actually died at the hands of the Bloodstained Knight. Okay, all these weapons are etched with the user's dying memory and stuff. But this is where it turns into a game theory style FNAF Soul Remnant situation. Take a look at the new enemies that got introduced with Sumeru. And this is the reason I thought of revisiting this topic too. On the surface, eremites look like the everyday treasure hoarder with a reskin. But take a look at these special eremites. Desert Clearwater, Sunfrost, and Day Thunder. They use elemental attacks. The first impression you get is that maybe they are vision holders that were unlucky enough to be not playable characters. Or maybe colluding with the Fatui to get delusions since they cover their eyes like them. But if you really like to stop them, you know they don't carry a vision or a delusion. So then maybe they use a special weapon like the Karagi from Inazuma. The thing is, it's true and false. Here's the thing, their elemental power does come from their weapon, but it's different to burning or electrified paper charms used in Inazuma. All three of their descriptions read, an ominous fragmented spirit is sealed within the weapon they uses, awakening in moment of peril. Once it does, it can only be silenced by the cries of the vanquished, whether they be its wielder or its wielder's foe. Pretty suspicious, right? A fragmented spirit is sealed in these weapons. I can't say what kind of spirit, but it's some sort of an elemental being with relatively high intelligence. It very well could be the fragmented soul of an evil god who died in the Archon War. Okay, now think about this. Delusions are made from Archon residue, and the same can be said for skirmisher weapons too, okay? These guys cover up their eyes when they use that power. So even though these eremite weapons are not from the Fatui, from the looks of it, I am pretty sure they use the same principle behind the delusion. If I may be so bold, I would say Dotore specifically chose Sumeru because they stole the technology from the eremite in the first place and refined it to be less bloodthirsty all the time. That also explains why these eremites are bloodthirsty. They are being used by the weapon instead of them using it. More specifically, the unrefined dead god's vengeful soul. Now take the obvious curse sword, Kagetsurubi Eishin. It meets all the requirements I previously talked about. It has the description talking about its original user's memories. Its master died after creating it in his hands. I'm fairly certain the consciousness inside the sword was not an original one. A fragment of its creator's soul got embedded into the sword when he died. Only after his death did it come to life. He talked about his wishes to the blade on his deathbed. When he finally died, that fragment of his soul got refined into the blade, giving it this new consciousness. How else would a sword know how to return to Inazuma? Like, does it know the road or directions? It's just a confused piece of soul fragment, if not for someone else's memory who's familiar with the path. Now turn your attention to the sword's possessing power. It's the same principle as eremite weapons. Eremite weapons activate when there is a prey and only stops when either the user or the enemy dies. A milder way of possessing someone's entire body. Kagetsurubi Ishin possesses a random person until they die or become useless, then switch to the next person. The final nail on the coffin is the Raiden twins themselves. Makoto stored her soul in her sword when she died 500 years ago.
I left a faint fragment of my will in Muso Ishin, so that in the moment that you unleashed its full power, I too would be released.
A few hundred years later, A also had the great idea of sealing her entire soul in the same sword. These two had the option to seal the fragments of their soul they wanted. So Makoto put the part needed to fulfill all the Time Thunder Sakura shenanigans, and A just put the whole thing. It's clear that the technology to seal a soul in a weapon does exist in Tevat, but how did we get our hands on them? It's the same principle as constellations, stars, wishes, fates, clones, asteroids, astronomy, astrology, Mona's ass, and Paimon's stomach. When you pull a duplicate of a character, you can get this little thing called a Stella Fortuna. The character part is a little bit too complicated, and there are more than enough takes on it. Also, you can watch my take on it if you click there. It's a little bit different to say the least. Back to Stella Fortuna. it activates a specific character's constellation up to 6, right? It's basically a part of that character, a part of their soul. Now, take the Traveler's constellation material. They are called Memories. Does anyone think they look like these? No? Just me? See where I'm going here? Souls in Genshin are basically the memories that enter the ley line network after a person's death. Hu Tao and A said it. I just connected the two dots. One said souls enter the ley line network after they are dead, and the other said memories of them flow through it. If the Irminsul tree is a real tree, the ley line network is the xylem cell network. Memories and souls are the mineral water that runs through it, and the Stella Fortuna are the fruits. That's it, folks. The weapons you pull with your terrible luck are the consolidated soul fragments of dead people recycled through the ley line networks. So, 80% of the weapons you give your character are haunted by someone who died with that weapon, and their final words are forever carved on them. Happy to ruin your day. I mean, not every weapon is haunted. Take, for example, the Favonius weapon series. They are just a bunch of mass-produced weapons given to every Knights of Favonius member. But who knows? They might also contain some dark secret. And this is a piece of my madness. I always say, let your imaginations run wild at the end of my videos. But ever thought why? Even I didn't realize until a few weeks ago when I finally got through the Sumeru Archon quest. As a theorist, what I value the most is showing you a wacky connection I found using 100% of my imagination. I don't care about getting it right or wrong, as long as it feels interesting to you all. That's what I want to get across. I want you all to think creatively instead of focusing on getting it perfect. But I do feel good when I find one of my theories is correct. So remember, this is just a theory in a random dude's head on the internet. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, make sure to smash that like button. Hit my face here to subscribe. Let's get that small number to a big number. And why don't you learn how to pronounce some Sumeru words by clicking here in the meantime. Also, make sure to come say hello on Twitch at @Egamin_live. I stream regularly on Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 11 AM UTC. As always, this was Egamin. Thanks for watching, and until next time, let your imaginations run wild.